You are listening to the Thinking Big podcast, and it is such a pleasure to have you listening to the show. And today we're talking with Alexandra from The Mentoring Effect, and she is a visionary and has the ability to really bring out the best in people and really uncover their full and true potential. She has grown her own businesses in a range of different environments from all over the world, including Europe, Thailand, Bahamas, and now she's in Australia. And on her journey, she's discovered so much around human potential and experienced how to really overcome physical and mental crises. And the knowledge and tools that she's gained, that's what she's teaching others now. So in today's show, we're going to talk about, self-awareness and how it's the first step to really any success, whether it's in business or in health or in anything that you're doing. So today, we're thinking big on ourselves.
Welcome to the Thinking Big podcast with Sean Osborne, the show helping you think bigger into your life and potential. Sean believes by equipping you with the tools, strategies, and philosophies required to be successful in all aspects of your life, you can achieve anything you believe in. Empowering our own growth makes a deeply positive and lasting impact on our lives, community, and our world. Now, here's Sean.
Alexandra, I want to welcome you to the Thinking Big podcast. And I know the listeners are going to get a huge amount of benefit from the stuff that you're going to be talking about. Now, before we get into all this great stuff that you do, tell everyone a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got where you are. It's an interesting story.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I didn't expect that. Okay, I will talk about myself. I will try to be very quick. I'm in Australia. I don't even know how I ended up here, but I was traveling a lot and always having businesses. And my background is basically having 10 years of event management and catering, working for Red Bull and working as a coach for American corporates, having another business that was in Thailand. And there was more restaurant, bar, or coffee shop with some small food, healthy food. And after that, I think I stayed in Thailand around 3 years. But as we know, that all vacation destinations are not very pushy. That means you just do your business, a little bit. I would say holiday way. It's just different. I would say different setup. And after that, I moved to Bahamas, and I did some tourism business there. And I ended up in Australia. Last 5 years, I'm living in Perth, Australia, and I was running two businesses, but the one of them is already closed because of the events. And that was not really sustainable because we don't have any events scheduled for 2020 and 2021 because all governments basically don't know what will happen.
Right.
And we were running community events. That means it's
so you're even looking at 2021 as being limited already.
Well, it's different because I have my family still in Europe, and I can see how every country is reacting, or I would say it's reaction on cases with COVID-19, and the crisis is really having different development in each country. And I thought, and I really hope that we will be able to travel in December and I will be able to see my family over Christmas. But it looks like they're starting their, second wave. We are fine here, but Melbourne is not fine. That means it's all changing every week. And I don't like to predict, the worst thing, but I am prepared. And that's why I decided to build more the other business that I have. And that's the mentoring effect, because I believe people need education, people need self-awareness, people need someone that will inspire them. And that's the same thing that you do, because I believe this is the time that the world is suffering, and a lot of people suffer. I know a lot of people are really successful, what is great, but there's always, some sadness and fear in the world. And I believe this is the time when people need us. That's all.
Yeah. So you have done a lot of traveling. How do you like? To me, I didn't get to travel until later in life. It seems like I was kind of sheltered and didn't get do a lot of traveling. I'm telling you, the world absolutely opened up, even from a mindset standpoint and a self-awareness standpoint, when I started traveling on maybe 12 years ago, that really changed my self-awareness personally.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, traveling and knowing the cultures and also knowing yourself when you are traveling and staying in the country for a little while. I always said when someone is traveling, don't go to, a hotel and stay in a hotel where everybody's, having their vacation, but travel with people, travel the way that you can actually be touched by culture. And you also get to know yourself if you're able to adapt, if you are able to accept. And I think this is huge. It definitely helped me to be more self-aware and be more open, I would say.
What's the favorite place you've been to in the world?
My favorite place now when I'm in Australia, because I'm so far away, it's definitely Europe. And I would say Slovakia, Czech Republic, Croatia. But when I'm there, I also miss Australia, and it's really hard to say. I love Thailand and I love Bali. Probably that's there are two countries that I'm able to create. I'm able to connect with myself. I'm able to connect different way, probably with people. And yeah, I think different vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
That means yeah, probably Thailand and Bali. I believe it's like a mecca of people, that they want to create, they want to grow, they want to do something more in life.
Yeah, and I was able to go to Thailand, I think maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I absolutely loved it there. It was fantastic. Although
Yeah,
I won't get into the naming of their cities
I was
because
going to ask.
whoever named some of those cities is just a genius. I'm sorry, but we won't go there. So on self-awareness, tell me, what do you think is self-awareness? What does that look like for you?
That's a really great question. Thank you. Um, Self-awareness for me is to knowing myself, knowing what is going on around me. That means be aware of my environment and how environment is influencing me and others. And also, it's part of emotional intelligence. For me, to be self-aware is to really understand what I'm thinking, how I'm thinking, and what thought is triggering me, what thought is making me feel better. It's more like you are able, when you're self-aware, you're able to, I wouldn't say control yourself because we don't want to be really controlling, but I would say you really can influence your behavior to get better results. Maybe that's the way to say it.
Right. Yeah, and I think that a lot of our programmed self-awareness, I think we're programmed at a very young age, up to, I don't know, age 5 or 6,
Yeah.
of what our programmed self-awareness is. What, we were brought into the world, and we learned what was programmed into us, what was around us, the people that our parents were with, the things that they did, the things that they look. It's like language. We learned language based on just being enculturated in that. And I think that's, for me, self-awareness. For a long time, I didn't try to change my self-awareness. So I just lived by the self-awareness that was programmed into me. And until we figure that out, we're going to continue for me, from a self-awareness standpoint, we're going to continue down that same path forever and ever until we realize that, until we become aware of that. And yeah, that's huge. Now, how do you? Again, I think we've been kind of pre-programmed, and we can definitely change when we want to. But how do you really create? How do you think we create our realities and things that
Yeah.
for us?
I will touch just what you just said because I think that's great. What you just mentioned, that's exactly what is happening. We are programmed, and and thinking about that we don't know even how we are programmed because we are programmed actually from the age from 1 to 3. That's really scary because we even don't know what happened that time when we were that young, and we don't know in what kind of situations we were. And I always say parents, like just the small thing, like like your children are playing around, or you have, visitors and they're playing all around, and 2 years or 1.5 or 3 years old is running around without bathers, and you scream at the child like, go to take it, you can't run like that, you can't run naked, for example. And that's already something, that sentence can already program the child that in their 18, maybe 16, they will be a little bit shy to go on the beach in bathers or, show parts of body. Like it will be really uncomfortable. And those small things are programming us. And based on that, as you said, based on filters, we are creating our perception or our reality. And that's the first thing what I was going to talk about as we started with self-awareness, because to knowing how we create our perception or reality is most important thing to actually have better life or increase self-awareness or make better decisions or get better jobs or have better partnership or be better parent. That's all major thing to know, like how that works. And that's when you mentioned that we are programmed, like something happen outside of us, like is any external event that is influencing us, we always put our perception on that. You probably experience a lot of things, like you're going to a movie, for example, with friend. And I always say that's the major thing when you can see how we see the world different way, because you're going to the same movie and when you're going out from the cinema, your friend is like, oh, I didn't like the movie, and you're like, oh, I love the movie. That means that's already really two different perceptions on
Right.
one similar thing, basically.
Yeah. And I always tell people how, don't believe anything you see. I mean, it's because it's all based on what your reality is. And your reality is not reality. Your reality is just how you happen to see things. I'm telling you, we are picking up things left and right from all of our senses, what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we smell. We're picking up all the stuff, and it's all going through our own, I call it a BS, or our belief system, our own bullshit that is filtering everything through. And we see it how we want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's also when you're working with clients, because I believe you're working with a lot of clients, that you can't really guess what they think. When they start to talk about their story or their issues or whatever they want to talk about with you, you can't really say like, I know you, what are you talking about? Because you don't know. And that's what I'm always saying to all coaches as well. You can't really say, I know, or I understand. You need to let the person to really, really go deeper in their story, in their world, in their perception. And until you are super connected, I would say, and you can see with their eyes, you can't really say you understand.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of people need to be self-awareness. And if you look at the word education, that actually comes from the word of to learn within. It's educo. It's all within. We all have to. And if anybody tells me this is what you need to do, nobody knows me like me. I can look and see and look at their steps and say, yes, I want to do that. That is a great idea, but how does it internalize to me? How does it, because nobody knows me but me. Nobody.
And that's so funny, because that's exactly how our conscious and unconscious mind works. That means if someone actually tell you you have to do this or you should do that, our unconscious mind is straight away fighting and is saying, no, I don't want to do it. It's just reaction on what is happening. We are programmed that way. It's how our mind works. And I would love to touch when you mentioned beliefs and all that programming, because there are major filters they create, or they are helping us to see, the world with different eyes or through different eyes. And that's also when you mention beliefs, there are other memories as well. There's our values, what is important for us, what is priority in our life. And also it's I think I mentioned memories, but attitudes or decisions we made before. And all those small things around us, or what creates us, are actually influencing us unconsciously, and we don't know about that, or majority of people don't know about that.
Yeah, I call that we're flying on autopilot. We have no idea.
Exactly.
It's just going on autopilot. And it's funny you mentioned that. I've often explained to people, it's like when you go and you've wanted something for a while, and all of a sudden you buy it. Let's say it's a car, and you buy, I call it the Volkswagen effect, but if you want this car, you want this car, and you save and you finally get it, and then the second you get it, you drive off the lot, and all of a sudden you see those cars everywhere. My wife does the same thing with shoes. She'll buy shoes and it's like, shit, now I see them. I see those same shoes. It's like once we become consciously aware of something, our subconscious thinks, okay, that's important to us. So now I'm going to pay attention to that out there. And now all of a sudden there's one because our subconscious thinks it's important.
Yeah, that's so great what you just said, because that's exactly where our focus go. Basically, we're starting to see the things because we are focusing on the things that we never really focused on before. And it's so important. I will actually probably touch the base because this is coming to the basic how we create this reality and how we actually feel. And I think that's another thing that people, if people will start to be aware of their thoughts, they can actually change the reality or their perception. But I always, if I may share, it's like a small story to understand where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
Because it's probably something that everyone experiences, because I'm talking always about the dinner. Like you are preparing dinner. Just imagine that you're preparing dinner for your partner or friends, or it's anniversary dinner. It's something big that is very important for you. And now there are two sides of things, like how we think or how we react or respond. And I always compare it like, okay, that partner or friend is not coming and is not answering the phone, is not answering the messages. And naturally, we are getting frustrated. I don't know if you experienced something like that before.
Absolutely.
That you probably can imagine, like we are angry, and our stories started to grow the way that we're coming from fear, we're coming from anger, frustration. That means we are really coming from that reaction side. And our story will be, oh, he doesn't love me, or he doesn't want to come, or he's not respecting me, or maybe he's with someone else. And all that what happened is basically our thought and our story that we created. It's really triggering us to really negative emotions. That means we are angry, frustrated, and based on that emotions that we created with thought and story, we are overreacting. When the person coming home, actually, we probably start to scream, or we started to be like, oh yeah, you're late, and we are angry. And the thing is, what I'm talking about is the result, that probably you're not going to talk that evening. Maybe the dinner will, end up in rubbish bin.
I'll be in the doghouse.
and it's not really nice evening. But when we are actually self-aware and we know that our thoughts are creating that reality, that we can start to think about better story. That means just change the story. And when we are waiting for a partner or friend and it's late, we can start to think and come from love. I always said come from love and compassion first. And when we start to think the way, okay, maybe he's stuck with business partner or is stuck in work, and he's probably sad, or she's probably sad that she's missing the dinner. She's missing out on great dinner, and or something happened, and that means I should probably calm down and think about that person, how I can make him or her feel better when they will come home late. And that's absolutely different story that makes us feel actually really good and calm. And we don't react, but we respond. That means the person coming home, I guess you can already imagine that you are actually welcoming the person, you're happy, and you're probably having that result of the evening that you have together, great dinner together, and probably talking about what happened. And I believe that's much better result. And I say this example because it's very basic, and probably a lot of people can connect with coming or waiting for someone with dinner. And that's same in business. If you respond, you can have better results. It's the same with parenting. It's the same with friends and in any situation.
Yeah. And a lot of times, us as human, I don't know if it's just by default or what, but we always think that the action is what causes how we feel. In other words, something happens and that's what causes it. And I go back to not too long ago, I was in a car accident, and there was three of us. And I got out and I'm like, oh, that's what insurance is for. Shit happens. That's, not too big of a deal. Everyone's okay. Another guy got out and he was absolutely irate. I mean, he was pissed off. He was yelling. He was screaming. And I had to sit back and think, okay, if the accident is what caused people to get mad, if that's what caused him to get mad, then everybody that got in an accident would get mad. So it's not the action that caused it. It's the meaning that we put on that action that actually caused, he put a meaning that he was going to be late. He put the meaning that he was going to cost him money. He put meanings on that accident. And that's why he was mad. It wasn't, it had nothing to do with the accident. It's how we perceive things and how, the meaning that we put on things that, it's never the action. It's never the action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was your story, like you said, like you actually got out from the car and you were like, oh, everybody's okay, that's great. Your first story or first thought was positive, basically, because you focus on other people, you saw them, they're okay, and you came from love because you care about others, and that make you also think different way, and that thought make you calmer. Exactly the meaning you said, you put different meaning and different story on the event. And I think that's so important to understand that we are actually creating our reality and we are able to be happy. And that's just such a big thing to understand, that it's just a thought.
Yeah.
We are just a thought away from being happy.
Thought away from being anything that we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Positive or negative. Yeah, you're one negative thought from being negative too. I mean, shit goes both ways. It goes up, it goes down. It goes
but
both ways.
Think about that. It's just such an amazing concept, because I think it was Sydney Banks. He was talking about three principles, and three principles are actually mind, consciousness, and thought. And he's always saying there is nothing else. It's just a thought. Because it is what it is. That's all what it is. The world is just a thought. Everything what we decide to do, what we do, or what we are not doing, that's all just limiting belief. A limiting belief is, again, just a thought.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. I think it was Dr. Viktor Frankl that said that, the only thing we have 100% control of is the time between we get an input and how we respond. We have 100% control of how we take that input, how we take that action, and how we respond. That's the only thing that we actually have 100% control of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just thinking that probably great thing to add to this conversation is that we are actually having around 70,000 thoughts a day. And when you are thinking that you're not self-aware, or you are not actually living conscious life, or you're not trying to live conscious life, and you're not aware what you're thinking, you don't have any idea what kind of choices you are doing and decisions you are making. And we have, from that 70,000 thoughts, is around 20,000 choices we do daily. And I think that's a really crazy number. And I'm talking about things like, what kind of water you pour into your glass, or what I don't know, what leg you start to walk first, it's left or right. It's just small things that can actually influence all your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, to me, that's why, one of the reasons for me, meditation or gratitude stuff in the morning is so important. It gets me really in the right frame of mind, the right step, the right, it gets me to me, the right vibration to be in. And for us, I think it's kind of, I think we're both kind of in the same mindset, but for people listening, what are some of the benefits that you see in increasing our mindset, increasing our self-awareness? What are the benefits that people will have when they start? I know I've got tons of stuff that on that, but for others, I mean, it's such a huge thing, and what are some of the benefits that you see?
Oh, it's exactly what you said. It's tons. But as a comparison for me, when I was actually not having any meditation or any habits in the morning, any rituals that will actually help me to be self-aware, or how I'm thinking, how I'm preparing myself for a day, for example, that was really huge difference in my working day. I was able to focus now. Like I'm able to focus now and don't be distracted when I'm actually starting the day with meditation or doing things very consciously. Like I'm really trying to think about step by step, like what I'm going to do during the day. What is my intention? That means that has really a huge influence on performance. And because we are all business owners, and both of us, you already know that is so important to work effectively or efficiently. And that's the majority of people. They don't understand that small thing like morning ritual can change their life or their day and performance. The benefits are also it's around health. Like that's actually even like a cardiovascular diseases. I think you can avoid them by being calmer and responsive, not reacting. That means you actually have you increase your emotional intelligence, and you are making better decisions in your work, with your team. You actually start to also listen a little bit different way. That means it helps you to connect better with other people, even deeper connections in your relationship. You can definitely build up deeper relationships with friends and with kids when you're a parent. And there are benefits like you can land a better job if somebody is looking for work. If you are building up self-awareness, you can definitely land a better job and better position. You can have better finance. You can have huge success in your business. Every successful business person will tell you that they meditate or they do something like that, or they are aware how they work, how they make decisions. And the biggest thing is probably that making conscious decisions. I believe that was a big thing for me to really understand based on what I'm doing decision, because I'm angry at someone or because I can really sit down and say, write down pros and cons and really see what will be the benefit of decision. That means to learn how to respond is so important. And we know we can save people's life when we are responding and not reacting. Yeah, I don't know. It's huge. Like it's a lot of very health benefits for brain. You really can live longer and have better thinking. And yeah, I don't know. It's just so many. I
Yeah.
probably health is for me probably most important. That I feel so awake. I feel so energized. I guess that's the major
Yeah, to do.
thing.
And what's funny is when I first started getting into this, I would see people doing things like morning rituals that you talked about. And I would think, oh, that's just some woo woo,
Yeah,
crap that
I
no
was
one
saying. I was saying.
that no one actually does. I remember years ago listening to Tony Robbins and how he got up every day and did his priming and did his doing all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. But but here's the thing: you look at successful people and they all do it. It's not some woo woo. It's not. It works.
Yeah.
It absolutely works.
And it is really funny because I was the same, exactly what you said. I was like, that can't change your day when you will have morning ritual. That can't change anything, any habits. But when you think about creating healthy habits and rituals, I would say we don't need to call it rituals if someone doesn't like the word, but it's some kind of discipline that you have around your morning that you're able to say like I'm waking up at 5, for example, and I have my 30 minutes yoga, I have 10 minutes meditation at least, and I'm always evaluating what happened last day, the day before, and thinking about my intention and what I want to achieve the day ahead. And for me, that small thing just calm me down and prepare me for a day. And I will be very honest. Last week I had 1 or 2 days that I didn't do any morning ritual because I felt funny. I don't know. I wasn't really focused. And because I didn't do any morning rituals, I was so absolutely opposite of productive. Like that day was a disaster. I didn't do anything. Like I've ended up to, scroll down Facebook, and we don't want to do it. I
Right.
don't do it. I don't really scroll down through social media. I'm trying to focus only, I have 1 hour for social media. I'm posting and doing advertisement, whatever I need to do, or I'm talking with my digital marketer, and that's all. And I'm not scrolling down, but I just ended up to scroll down and thinking all over the place. My thinking was all over the place. And that was really big example or a big wake up call for me again and say, oh, yeah, now I can see my morning rituals works. And I really need to do that because it's setting up my day to be successful and it's setting up me to be more focused. And I'm actually much better with clients as well when I'm actually doing my morning rituals. And yeah, I think it's important for everyone who never ever tried, just probably I will suggest to start with small thing,
Yeah.
but very small thing, just to take a piece of paper, have it next to your bed, and start to journal what you think about first thing in the morning. What is your first thought? And start to just noticing yourself, like who you are, how you think. Just small thing like that, just to really go back to your heart and see how you think, how you feel. And what you mentioned, gratitude is amazing. Just to really think about one thing that
Yeah.
you're grateful for.
Yeah. That can absolutely change your day. And it
Yeah.
actually, to me, when we do this stuff and we do it consistently, obviously there's days that we don't do it. I mean, we're obviously not, nobody's perfect. We always do this, but it does, to me, it changes my perception of things. It changes my decision making. It changes everything that I do when I'm in that right, I call it a vibration, but when I'm in that right vibration, I
Yeah.
make much different decisions. I make much different, I kind of liken it to health. So when you're trying to get healthy and you're not at that vibration, you're not at that consciousness, it is so hard to do. It's like it almost seems impossible. But then once you do it and you get into that vibration, you get into that self-awareness, it almost becomes like how did I not do this? And I think that's where that it puts you in that in really in that space or in that vibration.
Yeah, I love what you just said. That after that, we are thinking, how come they don't do it? How they can live like that? It's so funny how that changed exactly. Like it changed your life, it changed your perception and your mornings and your vibes, energy. And I will be very honest, from the time that I'm really looking inside who I am, how I'm thinking, and what I actually really want. And that's what I will probably suggest to other people if they can think about when they are in business. Usually solo traders has, that issue that we are so much into business and we don't have time to work on business, but we don't really know who we are in business. And start to think about yourself, who you are and who you want to be and how you want to show up. And it's connecting me with people and clients a little bit different way. And I love it because it's just really being there for my clients and understand what they want. And all those small things like habits and rituals and being focused, it's actually helping to achieve that. That means I'll probably just really recommend it, especially for people they really work for themselves and it's really hard. I know it's hard, especially now under lockdown. People were so lonely, and that's the time to really do those small exercises.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like we have to, I don't care what we do, but we have to be more if we want more. We have to. So I know to me, it all starts with personal awareness and our mindset, our self awareness. But it all starts with us. But it affects our business. It affects our careers. It affects everything. It spills over, but it does. I do think that it all starts with us, and we can't be better until we are better. We've got to
Yeah.
get to that level before we can. And what's funny is you kind of mentioned this, but when we get to these upper levels, we start attracting people in that level. We start seeing, it's like the Volkswagen. Once I now I'm at level 8, let's say. Now all of a sudden I didn't even see these level 8 people over here that I can do business with, but now, hey, look at all these level 8 people. They're everywhere. And we attract we attract what we are.
I have really personal experience, and that's really well said what you just mentioned. Because when I came to Australia, I was going through some personal issues or trauma, and that was my probably bottom that I hit. And it's so funny when I see that now, and I'm looking at the events and how I was and what kind of energy I had to spread. I was thinking like what I'm spreading out. Like I was really probably sad. I was very down, and I actually attracted that kind of people.
Yeah.
I got all those friends that were really down. They had like past depressions, and it was just so different. And when I actually work on myself and because that was probably a major thing that I really started to focus on personal development, because I wanted to be, old Alex, like the Alex that I know and I remember. And there was this fun, laughing, having friends and fun and great in business, all that things that I kind of couldn't find it. And when I found it again, I was, I just have amazing people around. And even my clients changed. Exactly what you said. I'm just having exactly clients that I want to work with. And it's all marketing or messaging or energy. Because I always said, when people are focusing so much on digital marketing, because I'm doing a lot of courses around business, always think about yourself and your intention behind the post or message or picture. Anything what you're putting out there will come back to you, but you need to be really intentional, and you really need to be honest and coming from heart.
Right.
And that's
yeah,
it.
absolutely. So you're in Australia. The only thing that we get here from Australia now, let me. Do you guys actually have shrimp on the Barbie? See, the only thing we have is Outback. Outback Steakhouse. That's the only thing we have. That's Australia.
I guess so.
Oh man, see, I had to ask that. That's. So, what is your favorite out of all the places you've traveled? What has been your favorite culture? Because I think culture really does develop our self-awareness. And it's like when I go to, one of my favorite places is Turkey. Going to Turkey, the vibration, the culture just really, I don't know, it invigorates me. It's something that really lifts me when I'm in that environment. And I think the environment that we put ourselves in really helps dictate our self-awareness. It dictates, who we are. And again, I think Jim Rohn said it, people you hang out with the most is you become the average of that. So when we put ourselves in these cultures, in these places, then, we tend to, I don't know, be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's a very interesting question, because I actually never really think about that the way that you just ask. And as I mentioned, for me, when I was alone traveling, it was probably a great time, because it's really like you have time to connect with culture and people. When you are with family, it's not that easy because you are staying with your family. But when you're alone, you're looking for people to talk, and you're discovering more. And that's why I really love to travel by myself as well. And I just probably Bali was the place that made me very creative, very excited, very driven. And I was amazed by places, because the nature there, and also there's a lot of people, they trying to discover, they're trying to develop things. They're all like like new thinkers, and people very eager to achieve something. And but at the same time, they are very calm and connected and happy and chilled. That means it's kind of like they came to environment to really be prepared to hard work, but that an environment is actually calming you down. I guess it's really like an opposite, like a two poles. And that's why probably I love it there. And it's a beautiful place to start a business, take your laptop and start to create. I really like that. And but on the other hand, I love Italy and I love Croatia. And probably because it's connected with my childhood and all my friends, we always travel there. We spend so much time on yachts and just having fun and talk about business, talk about family, talk about music. That was always just, I would say that is the time that I really don't try to work, when I'm going to Croatia and Italy. And it's really just traveling and just eating beautiful food.
So Croatia, that's an interesting story. Do you know who the president of Croatia is?
No, I don't know actually.
I'm pretty sure it's Croatia. I'll have to go back and check, but I went to school with her.
Oh, really?
Yes. She was in the States as a foreign exchange student, and went to school with her.
That's really funny. That's a really good story.
Yeah,
you should go to Croatia to see her.
Go say hi to her. Yeah. So You've got two things up here that are really great things. You've got the 3 simple steps to self-awareness. That is a downloadable thing. And then you also have the 21-day challenge for boosting your business. Those are great things. And can you tell us a little bit about those? Because people can actually go up and download those and actually also watch the videos on the 21-day challenge.
Yes, thank you very much for asking about that. The PDF with 3 simple steps to self-awareness is basically all the stuff that we already talked about, but it's simplifying the things that you can do for yourself, even 2-3 minutes at your home. You don't need to be prepared. You can just start to do it and build up your self-awareness with 3 simple steps like journaling, writing your morning thought that I already mentioned, and take yourself on judgment watch, and it's explained in PDF. It's very important because judgment and comparison are really decreasing the energy from our brain, and we actually perform on lower levels. That means we try to really avoid comparison and judgment. That's another thing that we can probably talk about another hour.
Yes, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that the download that you have on the 3 simple steps, it's such an easy thing, but it can make such a huge impact on our lives. It seems so simple, 3 things, but I guarantee if you actually go and you do those 3 things every day, you will have change in your life. No doubt about it.
I absolutely agree. And that's why I try to simplify it. And I know people are like, oh, this can change my life. Those steps can change my life. But it's exactly what can actually, those 3 steps can change your life forever.
Yeah.
That means it's really important. And that's why it's awesome. They are so easy.
Yeah. And what people don't realize is when you start changing, we've talked about it a little bit in part of this podcast, but when you start changing things, you start looking at things different. So you start attracting different things into your life. It's not just those 3 steps, but those 3 steps lead to many other things that are byproducts of doing those steps.
Yeah, you're changing your perception, you're changing your emotional intelligence, you're changing your decisions, your choices, and you, at the end, changing your results to be greater and better.
Yes, and that's what we're all here for. But
yes.
Well, I absolutely want to thank you for giving us your time, being on the podcast. Alex, I'm telling you, this stuff is. I believe in this more than I believe in most things because I know for a fact, for me, this stuff has absolutely changed my life, hands down. Doing this and all of I can tell you, 100% guaranteed. Anybody listening, if you see anybody that is successful, I don't care if they're successful at sports. I don't care if they're successful at business. I don't care if they're successful in relationships. They do this. It's that simple. If you want to be successful, you have to be self-aware. You've got to control your own thoughts, not your programming, not the world, but you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this, and thank you very much for having me. And I love to talk about that because I think it's most important thing right now. And my self-awareness as well, helped me to grow my 5th business and my amazing partnership with my partner, like amazing relationship and amazing relationships with my family. And yeah, I just can't recommend that more. To just try, just do it for 7 days. Just try for 7 days or 18 days, whatever works for anyone. But as you said, it's most important thing. Yeah. And I believe we should really, really start to be aware of what is going on.
And I hear more people say, well, I don't have time. And right now, if you don't have time right now with all that's going on, if you don't have 10 minutes a day right now, you're never going to have the time. I'm sorry, but it's
exactly
now more than ever. So again, thank you so much. Such a huge inspiration and such great stuff. And I know that people are going to get that download. To people, just do it. Spend 7 days. Trust me. Just do it. It will help. It will help change your life.
Yeah. Just do it. Yeah, just try.
Be like Nike. Just do it. Well, thank you again. Thank you very much. And we will talk later.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sean. It was a pleasure. Thanks.